Yeah, folks, it's Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton. Yeah, I want to talk today about staffing, overcrowding, and the issue of recruiting prison officers. This has all been brought to light following the escape of Daniel Khalifi Khalif from HMP Wandsworth when he was on the run for, I think it was 72 hours, which wasn't a very long time. But he did demonstrate that it was relatively easy to escape from HMP Wandsworth, and they're basically blaming it on short staffing. Now, as hard as this may seem to believe, very frequently HMP Wandsworth is running on less than 70% of the staffing allocation. So say that they're allocated to have 100 officers on duty, then they've got 70 officers, or less. On the weekend that recently passed, they had 64% of staff arrive for duty on scheduled shifts. In other words, they were down 80 staff actually. They were scheduled for duty, but 80 staff went missing. I mean, what kind of a carry-on is this? Unheard of. I mean, I know that times have changed, and I keep harking back to the 70s when I was there, and the 80s. But it was relatively rare to disappear from your duties, and certainly not at 40% of the staff disappearing all at once. And it puts the prison in a very delicate situation, because if they haven't got the staff to unlock and supervise activities, the inmates are left in their cells, and left in the cells for 23 hours a day. Now, this is a serious recipe for disaster. Of course, the Home Office kind of knows this, and I believe that they are attempting to recruit new staff. But the problem that they've got is that the retention of staff is extremely poor. According to statistics from the Home Office, 47% of all staff resigned in the last 3 years. They don't last 3 years. The retention level is 25% of all new staff will resign within 1 year. 25%. So if you get 100 people joining the prison service, 25 of them are going to throw the towel in after less than 12 months. And the rest, 47%, are going to quit after less than 3 years. So how does the Home Office manage to maintain good order and discipline when they haven't got experienced staff to actually undertake the duties, the very basic duties? How do they do that? Well, they're bringing in auxiliary staff, they're bringing in agency staff. It's basically out of control. Of course, the reasons that they can't get staff, I've been through this a few times, is that a lot of the prisons are located in or very close proximity to major cities such as Manchester, Birmingham, Leeds, London especially, with Wormwood Scrubs, Pentonville, Wandsworth, etc., all around, and Belmarsh, all around the greater London area, and Wandsworth right in the middle of London. And the problem that you've got with that is that the amount of money that you can earn as a prison officer is insufficient to pay for the rent in a one-bedroomed flat. So how do you do it? Well, you don't. That's what they're finding, that people will not do it. And according to Home Office statistics, the level of assaults on staff increased by 4% over the last 12 months, putting the assault rate at approaching 8,000 assaults on staff in a 12-month period. Now, if you've got, say, 40,000 prison officers, which is approximately what we had. Yeah, 40,000 prison officers. That gives you a fair chance of being assaulted, like 1 in 5, 1 in 6 chance. And give 6 years, you're definitely going to get assaulted. It's on the card statistically. You are going to be assaulted. I was assaulted many times when I was in the prisons, usually by prison officers, drunk, who took objection to my somewhat unique observations about the Prison Officers Association and the ineptitude of management, which were usually one and the same thing, and very often connected to the Brotherhood. That's the movement called the Freemasons. And I know that it's not very popular for people to say that, but actually that was the truth. And people were being promoted to levels of utter incompetence, not because they had any particular talents, but because they were members of certain Masonic lodges. Seriously. That puts you, as a member of staff, in great difficulty. I mean, I knew one guy went on to be a governor. In fact, he was a governor in charge of all the hospital services in the northwest of England. And when I worked with him, one day I came on duty, and I said, I took over the hospital unit from him. I said, how has it been? Oh, he said, it's been incredibly busy tonight. He said, I've had trouble. We ran out of strip cells. That's cells that accommodate just one person, yeah? I said, so what did you do? He said, well, I had to double them up. I said, you can't do that. Seriously. He said, I have. So I said, well, let me have a look. So I opened this padded cell, and inside the padded cell were 2 completely naked blokes flat out on the floor because he's injected them with chlorpromazine, and they were flat out. Both stark bollock naked. He ripped all the clothes off them and slung them in a cell. Imagine waking up in a padded cell thinking, I wonder where I am. Hello? Who are you? Hey? And he went on to be the head of the hospital services, for all the northwest of England. He had no medical qualifications other than the certificate from the Home Office, the nursing certificate granted by the Home Office. That was it. The totality. Same as me, that's all he had. A certificate from the Home Office to say he was a hospital officer. Nothing else. He was also the governor who was responsible, and it was in all the newspapers, by the way. He was the governor responsible for handcuffing a pregnant woman in a hospital, handcuffing her while she gave birth. And it's not funny, is it? But, I mean, it's so bloody mad that you've got to say, how on earth did anybody arrive at that decision? You know, to handcuff a woman in the throes of labour. How did they get to that decision? Well, that was his decision. I believe he's retired now. That man assaulted me. He assaulted me. Grabbed hold of the back of my nursing tunic, you know, the white tunic up at the front, grabbed all that, tried to drag me downstairs, backwards. I could have broke my bloody neck. But it didn't happen. I kind of spun round and planted that right on his snot box. So instead of me falling backwards down the stairs, he went backwards down the stairs and hit the floor with a resounding bump. They suspended me for that. Anyway, that's another story for another day. And now, yes folks, Tales from the Jails. And Larry, if you're watching this, why haven't you done my review? I thought you were going to do a nice review of my book. Yeah, on Amazon. Anyway, you've seen that on Amazon, HMP Manchester Prison Officer. Also, you've probably seen Sean Atwood. He's put loads of these little video clips up on YouTube when he interviewed me about a year ago. This is a poem that I wrote. I'm not going to sing to you today. No, I'm going to read you a poem. This is, I used to go around doing talks at libraries, because I wrote a lot of books, and I used to give talks to schools on being an author, because I wrote for Bloomsbury and HarperCollins and all the big name publishers, Scholastic in America. And so I used to talk to schools on how to be an author and what the nature of writing was in my work, And I thought, well, I'll write a poem for the kids. So I wrote a poem for the kids that I read to them. It was a disaster, and you're going to wonder why. Well, I'll read it to you. It's called My Granny's Last Gift. My granny passed away last year. At the time, I felt right sad. She'd always been a proper pal. Just to see her made me glad. I shan't forget her happy smile, her open, friendly grin, and all my friends, they liked her too. When she passed, it did me in. I won't forget her funeral. Half the town came out and cried. The church was full, and people lined the streets from side to side. Then when the lawyer read her will, well, I really filled with pride. He handed me a little box from she who had just died. I took it home to open it. On the top it said, with love, a last treat from my granny, now at peace in heaven above. To think that she had thought of me, I pressed it to my chest and wondered what she'd left for me now she'd gone to her rest. A little tear came in my eye as I opened her last treat, and then I saw them resting there, looking all clean and neat. Now I'll never forget her happy smile with a heart of gold beneath, and I'll think of her every time I see my granny's old false teeth. You'd have thought the kids would have laughed, wouldn't you? They didn't. They cried. They didn't get the joke. Hey, I quickly scrapped that one. Hey, the teachers were furious. I didn't get asked back to that one, by the way. Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton.